What happened to Cam Thomas? I mean, this guy could drop 40 on you like it was nothing to now not being on a team. I mean, this guy was a rising star on the Brooklyn Nets, getting released, signed again with the Bucks, and now without a team. How does a guy like that with all that talent get here? Let's talk about it.
Cam Thomas might be one of the most confusing stories in the NBA right now, because this isn't a guy who lacks skill. This isn't a guy who never got a chance. This is a guy who showed flashes of being elite, but somehow still couldn't secure his place in the league. So what actually went wrong?
Okay, so let's just start where things stand today. Cam Thomas, after being released by the Brooklyn Nets, ended up signing with the Bucks, where he was supposedly supposed to get a fresh start. But that didn't turn into a real opportunity. He didn't get a consistent role, his minutes were being shaved, and he just wasn't being put on the rotation with the Bucks. Which sounds kind of crazy because his first game as a Buck, he put up 34 points, he went 12 for 20, 4 out of 6 threes, 6 for 6 at the line, and got 4 rebounds, all in just 25 minutes right off the bench. In that game, they played Orlando, a team that's right now headed to the playoffs, and they beat them 116 to 108. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not easing into a system. I mean, the guy made immediate impact day one as a Buck. And for a moment there, when you looked at Cam Thomas after that game, you're like, okay, this could probably work out. But after that, the role never really grew. I mean, he was only averaging about 20 minutes per game. And instead of building on that performance, he got less touches, less minutes, and never even less opportunity. And on a team like Milwaukee, if you don't fit into their system immediately, you're not going to get the runway. And if you're not going to get the runway, then you're going to get pushed out.
And what makes this story even more confusing, before the season even started, Cam Thomas bet on himself. He reportedly turned down a 2-year, $30 million deal and even passed on a 1-year, $9.5 million deal with the Sinners. Instead, he took a 1-year, $6 million qualifying offer, betting that he could raise his value in cash later.
Damn.
And at the time, it made sense. This is a guy who's coming off major scoring stretches, a guy who believed he could score 20 points a game. But now that decision looks completely different, because instead of cashing out, he's now without a team. To really understand this, you got to go back to Brooklyn. Cam Thomas was drafted 27th overall in the 2021 NBA draft, but he didn't walk into a normal situation. He walked into chaos. You had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, a team dealing with injuries, trades, off-court drama. There was no stability, no clear development system. In the middle of all that, Cam Thomas was trying to figure out his role.
But hey, when he got the opportunities, he produced. This season, while he was with the Bucks and with the Nets, he was averaging 13.7 points, 1.7 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. I mean, he was scoring 41% from the field and 31% off the three-point line. And we all remember that breakout streak, right? Where he put 3 consecutive 40-point games. I mean, that's rare territory for a 21-year-old.
Now here's the question. Why did the Nets move on? Cam Thomas was balling out, but that's the problem. Only Cam Thomas was balling out. They wanted to get younger, faster. They wanted to spread the ball around. And some would say his game is very selfish for a guard. He don't get a lot of assists. He don't play defense. He's a high usage ball person, meaning he needs it in his hand. He don't play good off the ball. Essentially, some people say he's not a good team player. Does he even know what team basketball is? I think that Cam Thomas was forced out simply because he didn't fit the mold of the Nets style of basketball. He wanted to play what's best for Cam basketball.
I mean, Johnny Boy isn't wrong. You can actually see this happen in real time. I mean, he starts his season with a major role, then he gets the hamstring injury, comes back, and immediately his minutes cut down to about 22 to 24 minutes a game. You see his role shrinks, production dips. He went from becoming the focal point for the Brooklyn Nets to then fighting for minutes.
So let's fast forward to the next chapter, which is the trade market. They tried up and down, left and right to move this man, who was averaging 20 points a game when he was healthy. The trade interest, zero. Absolutely no market, which was a shame for a player who thought he was worth $30 million a year. They say the trade interest wasn't there because of his lack of defense, him not being a playmaker. Although he could create a shot, he can't create a shot for others. Potential deals never came to fruition. The contract situation added even more fuel to the fire because him being on that expiring contract, wanting more money, every team that would have potentially traded for him or signed him as a free agent and potentially asking for so much more money. So he becomes expendable and not worth it.
Low key though, I feel like Cam Thomas is one of the most disrespected players in the league right now. And I'm not just saying it just to say it. I mean, just look back at how everything was handled from his role, his usage, and even his pay. It just kind of doesn't really add up. But if you just go back one season ago, last year on a sample size of just 25 games, he was averaging 24 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 3.8 assists when he was playing about 30 to 32 minutes a game. Career highs all across the board. Listen, he was that leader of that team when he was playing. Now, I do want to admit on that 25 game sample, they only won 8 of those games. And the only reason why it was only a sample size of 25 games was due to his hamstring injury. But still, 24 points a game on average from a 23-year-old, there has to be a role for him in the NBA. To further my point, there are other shooting guards right now that are still playing in the league that are not even putting up the numbers that he's doing right now in this season when he was with the Bucks and the Nets. A list of that's going to be Porzimski. He's only averaging 12.9 points. Malik Monk, 12.7. Landry Shamet, 10. Bruce Brown, 8. Buddy Hield, 7. Even the guy that replaced him in his own position from his previous team with the Nets, Terrence Mann, is only producing 7. So what are we really saying here? Is this really about production, or is it about the fit, perception, and how teams value these types of players? Because if we're just strictly talking about putting the ball in the basket, then Cam Thomas deserves to be in this league.
That begs the question. In today's NBA, is talent enough? Because we know Cam has the talent. However, the league is shifting. It's becoming more forward guard heavy.
It really is.
They got to be taller. They got to be quicker, faster, stronger. They have to play defense.
True.
And they have to pass. I believe with his shot-taking abilities, he can find a job. However, he does take bad shots. He does shoot teams out of the game, and he doesn't play defense. He reminds me of J.R. Smith in his twilight years when he got taken out of the league.
Dang.
Gone way too soon. He ain't dead, but he ain't playing.
But what do you think, guys? Do you think Cam Thomas is somebody that deserves to be in this league, or is this another story of maybe he could have? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.